Thank you so much.
So from AI, what you can, to some World Bank data. So let's hear now from Dr. Lamia Mansour. She's a PhD senior environmental specialist at the World Bank, and she's following up on the environment portfolio of the World Bank in Lebanon. So that's very local. She has over 30 years of professional experience in environmental management and sustainable development, and worked in several international agencies, such as the UNDP, EU, and GIS, in the management of the resource management, solid waste management, mitigation, and adaptation to climate change. She holds a PhD and an MS in environmental management from Leeds University, UK, and her BS in environmental health from AUB. So we're very happy to have you back, Lamia. So please help me welcome Lamia to stage.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this very interesting conference. I'm very happy to be here, to be with the youth generation, and especially women. So in science, of course. So I will bring you back to Lebanon after this inspiring talk on AI, and I will be focusing on environment, as usual, and take you through some very specific information on solid waste management, because this is, for many years, a major issue that everybody is interested to know why we are failing so badly in the country on solid waste management. So, but in general, when we think about Lebanon, this is the nice idea that we have of Lebanon, but then reality hits, and we are losing gradually our natural resources and mismanaging our environmental services. So Lebanon's environmental context is very challenging. We have a lot of pollution, mismanagement of solid waste, wastewater, and air pollution, you name it. And it's very important to have solid data in order to be able to find appropriate solution despite the crisis, financial, economic, security situation, in order to identify needed policies and action. So I will be very specific today in my presentation to take you through two specific studies that were conducted by the World Bank. One is the cost of environmental degradation, and the second is a costing model of solid waste management, both prepared in the past 2 years, despite the security situation in Lebanon. And actually, the cost of environmental degradation, we spent a year, and we wanted to make a big launching of this important report. Unfortunately, it fell in August 2024 when the war just started, so there were other priorities. So I'm hoping that today's session will allow a bit more visibility to this very intensive exercise that we did for costing the environmental degradation in Lebanon. And then the follow-up work that we did for supporting municipalities to cost their services at their level. And I mean, of course, sustainability, environmental sustainability is a basic requirement of the World Bank. Another basic requirement is financial sustainability. So we can build fancy equipment, infrastructure, but the challenge is to operate them. And unfortunately, unless we have a proper costing and financial sustainability, we will just leave behind infrastructure that is not working. This is why, not because I'm at the World Bank, actually, I haven't been at the World Bank for many years, but financing is a pillar of success in making sure that whatever we build, we can handle it with care and with proper operation and maintenance, which costs money. So what is a cost of environmental degradation? It's a monetary assessment of the environmental damage. So it tells you over several sectors, and in this case, in 2023, we followed the same sectors that were studied previously in previous years. I will go on to present these. The previous years. We covered air, land, water, waste, and coastal zones. And what is the cost of environmental degradation on these sectors? And what is the proportion of this damage on the GDP in that year, and so that you can deduct the policy and the implications and the planning of interventions needed based on the costs that you have. In the case of 2023, air quality, air pollution was the highest cost in Lebanon, and it constituted 3.5% of the GDP, followed by, water pollution was the highest, followed by air quality, then waste management, then land, and followed by coastal zone. So the total cost of environmental degradation in Lebanon that we have calculated in 2023 was almost 2 billion. And the GDP in that year was around 17 billion. So this is around 11% of our GDP, which is very high, which means that we have a lot of environmental degradation. And how this compares with previous years and previous analysis, because we followed the same, almost the same approach. So in 2005, the World Bank had conducted this similar study, and at that time, the percent of the GDP was 3%. Of the cost of environmental degradation. In 2018, it was 4.4%, and now we are almost around 11%. So why? And although in absolute terms, between 2018 and 2023, the cost of degradation was slightly lower. So it was 2 billion in 2020 in 2023, while it was 2.3 billion in 2018. So in absolute term, the cost is a little bit similar to what we had in 2018, except between 2018 and 2023, we had a financial crisis. We have included the cost of environmental degradation from the Syrian crisis in our analysis, which was not done in 2018. And we had a complete collapse of environmental services, wastewater, solid waste, you name it, plus air pollution from electricity generation that have dramatically increased. So this is all, I will go through the methodology, which is a little bit complex. So in analyzing the data, you look at 3 types of changes: productivity, condition, and behavior. And we, in the case of the COET 2023, we disaggregated 2 groups, the Lebanese and all the foreign workers as part of the Lebanese population, and the displaced Syrians alone, given the large Syrian population in the country. And we adopted 2023 as a baseline. So we used the prices of 2023 in US dollars. So the methodology is to look at various existing data from the different aspects that concern each sector. So I will cover solid waste because we will follow up with this costing of solid waste at the level of municipalities, and so that you have an understanding of where the problem is with regards to solid waste management and how it is captured in the cost of environmental degradation. So when we look at waste management, so we look at what is the status, efficiency, lack of efficiency, lack of financial sustainability, the fact after the financial crisis, almost all the facilities, waste treatment facilities have stopped working. We only have 8% of the waste that is currently being treated. The current system does not allow for a circular economy, the 3R approach, reduce, recycle, reuse, and which could bring some revenues, which could reduce the amount of garbage that we have, and which could have created green jobs. All this is a missed opportunity. In addition to this, because we have very limited sanitary landfills in the country, so we have increased open dumping, which has been estimated that has increased to up to 42% in 2023. And currently we are doing a detailed in-depth assessment on the ground to identify exactly the increase in open dumping and, of course, open burning, which releases additional environmental damage. So as part of the COED, because we are looking at data, we look at available data, and in the case of the solid waste chapter, we did two primary analysis of information. So the first primary analysis was a rapid analysis based on satellite imagery of new open dump sites. We compared it with an existing study that was conducted in 2016 to identify a new open dump site. We identified that at least 104 new open dump sites had accumulated since 2016. And we also identified how many of them are subject to open burning. We also did a primary survey on household to identify the generation rates of waste from Lebanese and Syrian populations so that we can do an accurate estimation of waste and the cost of waste management from the two cohorts that we were working on. The other data that we have was based on existing data from various studies in the country. And in order to assess the cost of environmental damage from waste, we look at three aspects: cost of solid waste management, cost of hazardous waste treatment, and damage from dump sites and landfills. So each sector requires a different approach, a different analysis. I don't want to take you too much into the details, but it's just to show the type of data, the level of analysis. In the case of solid waste management, we used a cost of adequate solid waste management as the cost of damage on the environment, because we don't have it. We are not spending $121 million per year on solid waste management, which would have avoided the damage that we have. And this is what we refer to as defensive spending. So if we were spending $121 million, we would have avoided a lot of the damage. Similarly, for hazardous waste management, if based on available data from different sources, we estimated that if we were I'm talking about operation and maintenance only, not the capital investments. If we had the infrastructure and we would have spent 25 million on operating that infrastructure, we wouldn't have had damage from hazardous waste management. And thirdly, the impact on dumps. Here we have used estimation of land depreciation. When you have a dump site in your neighborhood using prices from the market, so to identify, we got to an estimate of 126 million of impact from dump site and landfill. So all this to say that all this is in the publication online. You can access it, and we are covering all the other sector with the specific methodologies used, references used. So I want to go quickly on the solid waste management costing model, because this is more hands-on, also data-driven. So in this case, we worked with municipalities. We worked actually with 56 municipalities, which are composed in clusters. We didn't work with unions of municipalities because the clusters were already working together on existing systems. So we used whatever is working to help them understand how much it is costing them to do whatever they are doing. It's not always adequate. Sometimes they are only transporting and up and dumping. Sometimes they are doing the collection, the sorting, the composting, and then the up and dumping. Unfortunately, in most cases, the 6 clusters we work with, they were all up and dumping. So we got them. We worked extensively with them to get all the data on generation, collection, and treatment. Again, this report is also on the internet. You can just Google costing model for solid waste management in Lebanon. You will get it. So all the information is here. I want to just take you through it to understand how we helped the municipality understand how much it is costing them with whatever system they have to as a cost per ton. So, for example, the most sophisticated, which has composting, sorting, proper collection, the cost they have is $82, which is quite, like, it's on the high side. It's like when you have an adequate solid waste management. But then they thought like, but we did not budget that cost in our case, so we need to find ways to reduce the cost. And the same, like in Sahel Wasat al-Aita in Akkar, the cost is only $44, is because they're only doing collection, up and dumping, and possibly up and burning. So it gives the municipality a proper understanding of their data, proper understanding of how much money they are paying to do whatever they are doing. It also allowed them, in this costing model, it allows them to set a price if they were to request households to pay towards this service. So, and the assumption that we used is if the municipalities want to collect 30% of the cost from the households and the remaining 70% from big businesses or businesses in general or other institutions, how much would a household pay? So in this case, this also gives them an indication of how many households they have, how much they have to charge these households in order to collect 30% of the waste services that they are providing. So, for example, the cheapest was in Union of Minye, Union of Municipality of Minye. So this also covers only collection and up and dumping. And it allows them to understand that, yeah, we can maybe slightly improve the type of services that we provide, and collect more from households. Although all this is theoretical because the municipalities at the moment are not allowed to collect financing for covering solid waste services. However, the governance system is being worked on. A draft law is at the parliament. This model will support municipalities identify how much municipalities should charge their constituents, how they can inform their constituents to have trust that whatever money they are paying is going toward a service that is properly managed, costed, and run. So all this is part of an overall analysis. I know my time is done. Can I take 2 more minutes? Okay. Because it is very important to look into assessments, to continue to update, and this is something that everybody is doing. To collaborate among stakeholders, to continuously monitor what is being done, and to continue to have strategy and follow up on this strategy. I want to finish with a couple of notes. So it is not all in the theory. So to give you an example of some of the real action we are doing on the ground with the government. So there is a national solid waste management information system that is being developed and will become up and running by end of this year. There is a national solid waste management strategy and local solid waste management plan also being prepared jointly with Ministry of Environment and local authorities. Among others, there are also standards for recycling that are being prepared in order to promote a circular economy approach and sorting and recycling. We are working with SMEs. We are working on developing a business model for drop-off centers, strengthening partnership and awareness. And the last point is that we are also working on infrastructure. We have a couple of engagements. This picture is from Akkar in Srar, up and dump in Akkar, in which there is currently, hopefully very soon we will start converting this huge up and dump into a proper sanitary landfill, and joining hand with other stakeholders who had funded a treatment facility next to this area in order to have a full value chain operating. That's it. Thank you.
Very interesting presentation. But for the sake of time, we're going to continue with the 2 other presentations, and then we'll catch up on the break. We'll probably take the questions for the last 3 presentations. We'll have you maybe placed here, and then just to make sure we are on time for our online presentations. So